Okay, I'm taking the elevator down. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Joe's Geek Show, the video series where we talk comics, and today we are going to be looking at the Milestone issue of Detective Comics, issue number 1000. This nice, thick, giant-sized book contains stories from various writers and artists. Once again, seeing Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo take up a story. You got Kevin Smith, you got Neil Adams, stories by Brian Michael Bendis, of course Tom King, and so on and so on and so on. It's a nice, thick book with a bunch of awesome little stories, much like the Action Comics 1000. And it's actually these array of stories that make this book really fun for me, because even though the stories in them aren't particularly long, you get about 3 to 4 pages per story. But it's always fun to get one story in art style, then you move on to the next, and the next, and the next, and the next, and the next, until you finished this entire issue. And much like the Action Comics 1000, some of the stories were a hit, some of the stories were missed, some of the stories were just kind of, what? Particularly that opening story with Scott Snyder where it was Batman, the longest case. He was going around. I thought it was working towards this really big reveal, and it was most of the great detectives in DC that had formed some kind of guild, and it was all a test so that Batman could join these ranks. And some that I've talked to that really love Batman are sitting there thinking, okay, if this is a little guild of the world's greatest detectives, why is Batman last? Because he's always been heralded as the world's greatest detective. Though there are some choices here where I'm like, okay, the question, I'll give you the question. But maybe Batman deserved to be on there before Detective Chimp. But either way, it was still a very fun story, even if the payoff didn't quite work for me. And I'm not going to go over every single story in here. I'm just going to talk about one more that I really liked, and that was actually the Kevin Smith story that was also illustrated by Jim Lee. And that story was my personal favorite because it starts off with Bruce Wayne. He's in disguise and he's in some kind of shop where in the back there's a bunch of guns, and finds the gun that was used in the murder of his parents. And so he pays for it, takes it back to the Batcave. Alfred's coming down saying, why does this deserve to be in your museum? Batman, of course, says it's not going into my museum. And instead we see him melt it down, craft it into a nice little shield that he says will now protect him. And I really liked the sentiment because I found this particular story sort of sad but beautiful in that he's taking something that crushed his heart as a child and turning it into something that is going to protect his heart from then on. And those are the only two that I really wanted to bring up, as I don't want to go through every single story because otherwise this would take probably forever. And then again, also one of the bigger aspects of this issue was all of the variants. There were so many variants to this book. Some you could get at your local comic book store, some you could only get online. It is nuts. And I myself have the regular Jim Lee cover as well as the Frank Miller variant. Well, everybody, that wraps up this video, and I want to know what you thought of Detective Comics issue number 1000 with all of its stories. I want to know what your personal favorites are, and if there's one that you didn't like, please, I'd like to maybe know that one too. Leave your comments in the comment section below if you don't mind. And as always, if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more content. Ring that notification bell so you never miss a video. And as always, you can look in the links in the description down below to get access to my Twitter, my Facebook, my Instagram, and much more. All right, everyone, take care. Have a great day. And as always, stay geeky.